What's up, America? Why are so many data centers being built in America? Why is there such urgency to build data centers? I've never seen anything like it. An entire society breaking their neck to build data centers at lightning speed. We've been asking the federal government to build high-speed rail networks nationwide, not a peep from them. We've been asking the federal government to help feed the poor, not a dollar. But when it comes to data centers, we have World War II level movement from the government. So what could possibly be the fucking urgency to build so many data centers? Why? Why are they doing this? Well, I think you know why they're doing it. They openly say it. It's to build a nationwide surveillance and monitoring network of the American people. You. Every click, every conversation, every turn of the wheel of your vehicle will be monitored and put into a data center for processing. Oh, it's true. They're trying to train AI robotics to better your world, don't get me wrong, but a majority of these data centers are nothing but monitoring and surveillance tool systems. This will be used for nothing more than a nationwide policing tool against your behavior.
This is what it's like living with a data center in your neighborhood. And this is what it's like living with a data center on your block. And this is what it's like living with a data center on your block inside of your house with all of the doors and windows closed. Sometimes they flood your neighborhoods and do nothing about it.
House was pretty much surrounded by water.
Record levels of flooding coming out of this site.
But most of the times they do this to the neighborhood water supply.
Water pressure in the kitchen. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
And if you're like, Ed, it would never happen where I live because my neighborhood would never allow this to happen. Well, in Gilroy, California, Amazon is building a 60-acre, that's 60-acre data center. And because they're building it in an industrial area, just far enough outside of the closest residential area, they didn't have to consult any of the residents.
They say they know at this point they probably can't stop this data center.
And if you're like, Ed, they're building it just far enough outside of the reach of residential areas, and it should be fine, right? Nope, because they're illegally and secretly building power plants inside of these data centers.
This is what it looks like in a standard drone shot, but watch what happens when I switch to thermal. Wow.
Those smokestacks that you see, they're literally built to disperse pollutants into the area. That's why even though you don't actively see smoke coming out of those smokestacks, under heat, you will see that they are actively burning pollutants into the air. And it's crazy that Lee Zeldin, the current head of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, when he took over office last year, stated that he was boosting AI, the Environmental Protection Agency head, which has not only allowed this data center, but because these data centers require so much energy to operate, even Elon Musk's ex-AI data center in Memphis, Tennessee, was found that they were illegally generating extra electricity. Surprise, because they had secretly built an illegal power plant inside of their data center. See those smokestacks with all of those smoke coming out of it? And it's because the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin has stated that he will not set national environmental standards for AI data centers, even though the EPA's own website clearly states that those emissions have serious health and environmental impacts. And again, on the EPA's website, that are not limited to the area immediately adjacent to the plant, but because air pollution can travel over long distances, the impacts of power plant emissions can be felt locally as well as many miles away, meaning that the air quality in a community can be impacted by far distant sources as well as those site near a community. And because I don't think that the millions of Americans across tens of thousands of neighborhoods across the country should have to fight individual battles to keep these data centers out in order to keep their property values from plummeting and their families' health from plummeting, I created this petition. You can find it right here, demanding that the decision makers like EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin prioritize the lives of Americans and not the pockets of billionaires and set national standards for keeping data centers out of our neighborhoods. Sign the petition and help save our neighborhoods. Thank you and stay safe.
So something.
This whole situation is crazy, man. Data centers is popping up all around the world. And I wonder what's the purpose of them. Anytime that you see that the government is mass creating something and pushing something like this, it's something bigger than what we think. And everything that we do is starting to be surveillance, as you can see. Anytime we talk about something, next thing you know, popping up on your phone, you look something up and you tell the app not to track what you're doing. Guess what? it still comes up. These people is violating our rights, and at this point, I don't even think we got any rights. This is a crazy situation, but we're going to listen to old girl talk, and we're going to keep it going. Stay tuned. See you soon. Let's go.
That I feel like more people need to know, data centers don't actually need water. They need cooling systems, and they're using water because it's the cheapest way to do it. Yeah. They generate like a shitload of heat, and if the heat's not removed somehow, the servers will overheat and it all stops working. So when people are hearing like, hey, it's consuming millions of gallons of water, we're all just assuming it's like the unavoidable part of the technology, but that's actually not true. And it almost is like worse. They don't need water. They're just doing this for no fucking reason because it's the cheapest option. They need cooling. There are alternatives, and I've wrote a few of them down. Immersion cooling systems. They can literally submerge servers in a specifically designed synthetic fluid that absorbs heat. Dielectric coolants that can circulate through equipment without conducting electricity. Closed loop cooling systems that recycle coolant instead of constantly consuming fresh water. Cooling systems that use the air instead of evaporation. I don't know, I could pay people to blow on them to cool them off before wasting our water. Another thing, companies can even build data centers in colder climates to reduce cooling demands in the first place. The technology exists, is my point. The issue is that many of those alternatives that I just explained to you are more expensive. And that's the part that I think is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting they're wasting all the water. What's more interesting is they don't have to waste the water. Ordinary people, we're always told, like, water, take shorter showers and water your lawn less, follow drought restrictions, be mindful of your water consumption. Meanwhile, some of the wealthiest corporations on earth are consuming enormous amounts of water because it's the cheapest way to cool their infrastructure. There's a difference between something that's necessary and something being the cheapest option available. When a human uses water, it's because they will die without it. When a data center uses water, it's because somebody in a boardroom ran the numbers and decided it was the most cost-effective cooling method. Who cares about the drinking water? The data centers. And I think that's a conversation that's worth having. Because if water is essential for human life, maybe human beings should have priority access to water before the latest AI model does. Just a thought.
Why do data centers need clean water? Why is it raising my electricity bill? It's come to my attention a lot of people don't actually know how data centers work. So let me explain to you top down how this is affecting you, the environment, and your wallet. For starters, you need to know that the internet is not something that's invisible, like a cloud that's floating in the air. Every single message you send on Facebook, every Google search, every generative AI slop picture you make has a tangible physical server that is in a warehouse that's called a data center. And this is what it looks like inside of a data center. It is a bunch of server blocks that are stacked on top of another that have CPUs, GPUs, TPUs, any sort of computer processing unit that accounts for you sending your Facebook message to your granny to make sure that she's okay every now and then. Here's where the water comes in. If you know anything about computers, maybe even your PS5, you've noticed, has gotten really hot and it starts to not work well. It's the same with computers and processing units and servers. Essentially, these data centers, they run 24/7, 365, put out an immense amount of energy and heat. And all that heat needs to be cooled down, which accounts for insane amount of HVAC, air conditioning, and water coolants. Essentially, they cool these units with cold water, and it has to be clean water. They'll cool them via tubing through the actual servers. They'll use a flat plate and inject it with clean water and cold water, or sometimes data centers will even submerge these servers into water, and it has to be clean. You can't take lake or ocean water and run that through servers or submerge servers in that because A, they could be corrosive, or B, they could have contaminants like algae, other foreign material, and it will cause those servers to physically deteriorate. It will make those servers not work. It will break them. So it has to be clean and treated. And a lot of people don't know this, but they treat this water with a lot of chemicals, biocides, and a lot of these companies will dump those chemical materials into the environment. And here's why AI data centers are raising your electricity bill. There was a difference before between social media data centers or regular infrastructure data centers that we have been using for years and years. AI is a whole other industry that we have implanted into our infrastructure. It is essentially adding hundreds more data centers for this new industry. And this is why your electricity bill is higher, because these centers put out so much demand for electricity, which these towns are not equipped to handle. The electricity company has to build new power stations, new transformers, new electricity lines. They have to do all of this physical infrastructure just to meet the demands of this data center. And that in turn goes back to your electricity bill. They need to pay for it somehow, which in turn they will just charge the customers more. So let's recap. It has to be your clean drinking water or the poor servers will be hurt. Our energy infrastructure is not ready for this brand new industry. And those chemical pollutants are in the environment, and the heat put off from these data centers is hurting the environment. All in all, I hope this helps you better understand why specifically this is not going to be good for us.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Data centers is popping up like never before. Hopefully they don't bring none towards the inner city. And for those people that stay in Tennessee and those out country ways, they just said, skip y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Our light bill went up a little bit, and they basically blamed it on the data centers. If your light bill doubling or your water bill doubling, it's on the data centers, and at least give us an option. You know, they took all options away from us. You just gonna deal with it. Everybody use the internet, I guess. So now it's one of them things like you automatically by default, because they know that people's using the internet, everybody benefiting off of AI, so you don't have a choice. You just got to deal with it, pay for it, and hey, it's the thing that the government put on us. But it's your boy Schooly. Let me know what y'all think about the data center. Do y'all think that having AI, the new Siri, these Geminis, these Claudes, these Chat GPTs, do y'all think that this stuff is actually worth having a data center and paying for in the long run? I don't live by a data center, but to me, if it don't affect the human being life, and if we can help out any type of way to be able to get these benefits, then I'm with it. But if we gotta damn near die to get it, then I'm cool on it. But they say that they're about to start putting more fees on stuff like Chat GPT and Gemini and stuff like that, so they can be able to support this cause. So I don't know, man. I pay $20 a month for Chat GPT. Recently switched over to Gemini, then switched back to Chat GPT because I don't like Gemini, and it just ain't doing it for me. But I always got the paid subscription, not the premium, but I got the pro. You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty cool, man. I really like having it a part of my life. I kind of use it as an assistant. But it's your boy Schooly, and to meet again, my friend. I'm out. Let's go.